This is creating a huge lack of safety in our state, and this is one of the reasons why you see all these requests for public records exemptions, is because of the safety concerns that are raised by individuals going out and just attacking or engaging with somebody in a highly, highly inappropriate way. Sorry for interrupting.
Oh, no,
please.
And I would add that these are small businesses that are operating in our neighborhoods, in our communities. And when you have parents dropping off and picking up babies and toddlers in a situation where there are folks out there demanding to see documentation that ought to be covered by regulators in our state, this state has for a long time invested in, cared about, and even passed a revenue source to ensure that families in this community have access to childcare and early learning opportunities for their children. So yeah, we certainly do take seriously whether or not those dollars are going to that high quality care. We've invested in that, talked about it for years. But I certainly do not want anybody thinking that they can go knocking on a child care center, talking to the people who are caring for those children outside of the regulations that we have in place already, especially given the environment we're in right now. We just got done talking about people getting kidnapped off the streets. Are we serious here? If there's concern, we'll bring them up. We have an independently elected auditor that can look into those kinds of things. And we see that solved over and over again.
Well, with all due respect, as one of the reporters who did some door knocking, never demanding to see a child. If anybody demanding to see a kid, that would be highly unusual, I don't think.
I'm glad you agree with that.
Right, and that never happened, that I'm aware of, even all the stuff posted online. But when you do knock on a door that's a taxpayer subsidized child care center that's received hundreds of thousands of dollars over a couple of months' time, there's no evidence of a child care center. As a reporter, I have every right to knock on that door and say, you're getting a heck of a lot of money. Are you actually watching kids? And you've got all these places.
2 kids went to an in-home child care center. The woman who ran it is still to this day called Grandma Cindy by my kids in their 20s.
Care center too.
There's not a lock. There's not a gate going up to that front door. All of the regulations in the back for keeping the kids safe is in place. But if you were knocking on that door and I found out about it, I would lose my mind. That is a home. That is a home where a business operates to care for toddlers.
If it's a taxpayer subsidized daycare, we have every right to knock on the door and say, are you a legit operation?
The Department of Children, Youth and Families audits all of them every year. Did you report that to the Department of Children, Youth and Families?
Right.
Or did you write a story about it?
They have performed audits and the findings have not been acted upon. That I have reported on.
So when you went and knocked on a in-home family child care center, did you report that there was nobody there to the Department of Children, Youth and Families?
That there was no one from DCYF there?
No, that there was. You said that there was no daycare going on there.
Right, there was no daycare there.
And did you report that to the Department of Children, Youth and Families so they could follow up?
Absolutely.
Great. Well, I look forward to hearing that because they audit every child care center every year, and they haven't found the instances of the kind of fraud that has been alleged.
I think, Carleen, what my point is you may have the right to do that. It's not right to do that. We have systems in Washington State that people should report fraud to. At the same time, that all of this is going on, we have people being scooped up off of the street. We have a former speaker in Minnesota who opened the door to what she thought was a law enforcement agent, which was somebody dressed up.
I think it was
different. And I get that you think it's different, and now she's dead. She's been assassinated. So it is right for people to be concerned about those they don't know coming to their home, knocking on their door, asking to see things. It's right for that concern to happen, and it's also right for any time someone has a concern about fraud or abuse happening in a child care center, to report it to DCYF, to report it to a legislator, to report it to the state auditor. There are a lot of options for reporting and auditing in this state, and that's the way that things should be operating.
And I want to be very clear, people in their private homes have a right not to open their front door, especially to people they don't recognize.
Of course.
And I can't tell you how many times in the last year I have said, please don't let the facts get in the way of your opinions. And I think we are responsible if we actually make sure we're following the facts in this state and not what is happening and being politicized in the rest of the country. That is how we make sure we govern appropriately and responsibly, is when we're actually following the facts.
I would really hate to see our work go backwards by having fewer in-home childcare centers by high-quality providers because they find it's going to be expensive to put up fences and walls and cameras to ensure that the people who are coming to their location are either the families who are supposed to be there or the state regulators who are supposed to be there.
And we have
That would be an
immigrants-
increased cost that I don't think we could handle.
And we have immigrants that are providing in-home care. And if people in this state don't recognize how scary it is right now for immigrants, there are people I know who don't leave their house without their passport and ID. Can you imagine that in this America? That you have to carry your ID to prove you're a citizen if you go for a walk or a run? Everyone should be appalled and shocked. So yes, having a random person knock on someone's door and expecting them to open the door is completely unacceptable in today's climate.